What if I told you that the biggest thing standing between you and your wildest goals actually isn't a lack of talent? It isn't your level of education, and it definitely isn't just bad luck. The truth is, there's a silent, totally invisible battle happening inside your own mind every single day. And the crazy part? Most people never even realize it's there. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the deep psychology behind success and failure, and we're going to show you exactly how to rewire your brain to win. Just think about this for a second. 95% of people never actually achieve the life they truly dream of. They just settle. Meanwhile, a tiny slice, just 5%, actually break through and find lasting success. Keep that little 5% sliver in your head because by the time we finish this explainer, you're going to know exactly what separates them from everyone else. And more importantly, you'll know how to guarantee you don't end up stuck in that 95%. Let's picture two people standing at the exact same starting line in life. We'll call them Person A and Person B. They grow up in similar neighborhoods, go to similar schools, they've got the same internet access, the same books, literally the exact same opportunities. Fast forward 10 years, Person A has built a career they absolutely love. They've got financial freedom and they wake up genuinely excited. But Person B, they are still sitting exactly where they started, telling themselves, one day, I'm going to start. So what actually happened between those two? Was Person A just born way smarter? Were they luckier? Or, did they have some massive cinematic defining moment of pure talent? Well, behavioral psychologists tell us no, absolutely not. We really need to ditch this myth of the big defining moment. The reality is that success is constructed through thousands of tiny, almost invisible daily decisions that most people just completely gloss over. All right, let's dive right into part one. The psychology of failure and your brain's hidden agenda. To figure out why we fail, we really have to look at the machinery running the show up there. See, your brain basically has one main job: keeping you alive. It's not there to make you successful, it's not there to make you rich, and it definitely doesn't care about helping you chase your dreams. From your brain's perspective, the safest place in the whole world is just whatever feels familiar. So when you try something totally new, like starting a business or getting up to speak in public, your amygdala literally misfires. It mistakes that unfamiliar territory for actual physical danger. Comfort feels safe, growth feels incredibly uncertain. So your brain actively manipulates you into choosing safety, even if that safety is making you completely miserable. And that leads us straight into a massive psychological trap: limiting beliefs. It's kind of like standing inside a cage where the door is wide open, but you refuse to leave because you've thoroughly convinced yourself the outside world is just too dangerous. Thoughts like, I'm not smart enough, or I'm way too old for this, aren't facts. They're just subjective stories you tell yourself. But here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't know the difference between absolute truth and repetition. If you repeat an excuse enough times, your brain just starts treating it as an objective fact, basically locking you inside an invisible prison. But comfort isn't the only trap. We also really need to talk about the fear of failure. Think of it like standing on the edge of a high diving board. You know how to swim, you logically know it's totally safe, but your mind is whispering, yeah, but what if something goes wrong? So you back away. The profound irony here is that the pain of failing, it's really just a temporary, sharp sting. But regret? Regret is this long-lasting, heavy, dull ache of missed opportunities that will literally stay with you for decades. And the thing about fear is it rarely screams at you to stop completely. Instead, it just whispers, hey, maybe let's just do it tomorrow. But tomorrow slowly stretches into next week, and next week quietly bleeds into next month. Before you even realize it, it's next year. We sit around waiting and waiting for this magical, perfect time to act, but the perfect time never comes, and procrastination slowly, quietly just steals entire years right out of our lives. Which brings us to part two, the success trap. Let's talk about procrastination and cheap dopamine. Here's a mind-bender for you. Procrastination isn't laziness, not at all. It's actually an emotional regulation problem. Let's break down this loop together. Step 1, a task feels overwhelming or maybe just uncertain. So, step 2, your brain desperately looks for an easy distraction to escape that uncomfortable feeling. You grab your phone, you watch a video, you scroll. Step 3, you feel this nice wave of temporary relief. But then hit step 4, just crushing guilt. By avoiding the work today, you haven't actually fixed anything. You've just delayed it and made the task feel 10 times bigger and scarier for tomorrow. And in our modern world, this cycle is totally supercharged by instant gratification. Every single notification, every like, every swipe gives your brain a quick 5-second dopamine hit. It hijacks your brain's reward center, basically teaching it to ask, why on earth would I work hard for a reward months from now when I can feel good in exactly 5 seconds? But true success doesn't work like an app on your phone. True success grows super slowly, and it's mostly invisible at first. It's exactly like planting a tree. You water it every single day, and for the longest time, it looks like absolutely nothing is happening above the surface. But underneath, the roots are growing deep and strong.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Section 3, rewiring for success using habits over motivation.
If you want to break free and join that 5%, successful people make one major defining mental shift. They realize that motivation is just a feeling. It comes and goes depending on your mood, your stress, or even just how much sleep you got last night. Habits, on the other hand, they are automatic. You don't negotiate with yourself about brushing your teeth in the morning, right? You just do it. Highly successful people build systems deep in their basal ganglia, which is the brain's habit center, that totally remove the need to even make a decision.
We are talking about the most basic, practical daily actions. Reading literally just 1 page, completing one single workout, putting your head down for 1 hour of focused work. You do not need to take these massive, heroic movie montage leaps. Extraordinary lives are built entirely on these tiny, super unglamorous actions, just repeated consistently, day in and day out.
This completely reframes how we drive ourselves. Motivation is that voice saying, I'll do it when I feel ready. But discipline says, I'm going to do it whether I feel ready or not. Think of 2 marathon runners. One guy only runs when the weather's gorgeous and he feels super inspired. The other runner goes out on a strict schedule in the pouring rain, whether they want to or not. Who do you think is crossing that finish line in 6 months? The ultimate prize always goes to the most consistent person, not the most inspired one.
And this all builds into the core psychology of a winner, the massive difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Someone with a fixed mindset hits a brick wall and immediately says, I'm just not good at this, adopting that failure as a permanent part of their identity. But look at the growth mindset. They say, I am not good at this yet. Just adding that one simple word, yet, completely transforms a crushing mistake into temporary, highly valuable feedback. It literally turns every single challenge into a stepping stone.
So it all just comes down to these daily micro moments. Should I wake up right now or hit the snooze button? This is that rapid-fire internal monologue happening in your brain every single morning. It feels so trivial, right? Hitting snooze doesn't feel like a life-ruining decision. But remember, success isn't built standing on a stage in front of thousands of people. It's built right there in the quiet, highly ordinary, super unglamorous moments when your bed is nice and warm and the floor is freezing cold. And here's another one. Face this challenge today, or just avoid it. Choose reading a book over doom scrolling. Choose saving over spending. We dramatically overestimate what we can accomplish in a single week, but we massively underestimate what choosing the harder option in these tiny micro moments can compound into over 5 whole years. Which brings us to our final part. Section 4, the 2 paths converge, your life in 5 years. I want you to picture 2 different versions of yourself standing side by side, exactly 5 years from today. Version 1 is the person who just kept waiting for confidence, waiting to finally feel motivated, waiting for that imaginary perfect moment. They stayed comfortable. Now look at version 2. This version wasn't fearless. Honestly, they were just as terrified as version 1, but they simply started, one brave, tiny decision at a time. The gap between those 2 futures isn't talent, it isn't luck, and it's for sure not resources. It is entirely made up of the tiny choices you are making today.
I really want this to sink in. Your future isn't decided by your circumstances. It is decided by the choices you make when absolutely no one is watching. Your habits create your future. Your mindset shapes your habits. And those daily, quiet decisions shape your entire destiny. You don't have to be some extraordinary superhuman to become successful. You literally just have to keep showing up.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. What is one single habit you are going to start today that your future self will absolutely thank you for? Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until you suddenly feel motivated. Break out of that invisible prison, ditch the cheap dopamine, and just make the hard choice today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you guys next time.